Okay, right now we are talking about the difference between abundance versus deep abundance. So let's crack right into this coaching video tonight, guys, as we drive along in the DeLorean. Always love taking this car out on a nice sunny day. And so what is the difference between abundance versus deep abundance? Give you a quick example using myself as the example. So back when I was working my corporate job, right? I was making 6 figures a year, just bought a top-down Mercedes. I was finally in what you would consider abundance, right? Had a beautiful girlfriend at the time. It was just me and her dating. And I had everything I wanted, right? I was like, shit, I'm not living in a shack. I was living in nice corporate housing at the time. Thankfully, my company provided me with corporate housing in the nicest part of San Francisco. I was out in the Embarcadero, and right next to the Giants ballpark, which is now Oracle Stadium, I believe, and making 6 figures per year, and dating a beautiful girl. I was like, what more do I need, baby? I'm happy. I'm in abundance, right? We were getting to eat in all the restaurants we wanted to. We were taking the trips we wanted to. I'm like, this is the life, baby. This is the life. And then it got to the point where I started getting just a little bored. There were certain things, besides the boredom, there were certain things that started to annoy me. Like, annoy is a strong word, but it started to bother me. Okay, to the point where I felt like I was kind of trapped, because with my corporate job, thing is, I really wanted to move to LA. Okay, I really wanted to move down to Southern California, and that's something I've always wanted to do since, since I was born, right? I was born and raised in San Francisco, and the weather here, well, the weather in San Francisco is pretty cold most times, right? Pretty windy, and I always wanted to move down south, but I never really had the funds. So I finally got this job, and I'm like, yeah, I have the funds to move. And I quickly realized, I'm like, okay, if I leave this job and I move, I'm not gonna have a job, right? So I asked for a transfer. I said, hey, can I transfer to a Southern California office? And they were like, no, doesn't work that way. You have to gain seniority first before you could put in a request for anything. I'm like, really? So I'm stuck here? And that was basically the answers. Yeah, you're stuck here. Not only that, but when I would take vacations, especially with my girl, we had to be back, right? It's not like we could disappear for more than a few days. We had to come back. Why? Because we had jobs. We had a responsibility to be back at work the following Monday. Yeah, it's always hard to shoot this car. Like, a lot of people are like driving this way, whipping out their cell phones and going, and I'm like trying to stay concentrated here. But in any case, yeah, so when we would go on vacations, we had a limited amount of time to enjoy that vacation before we had to fly back, right? We had to get on an airplane and fly right back, and we would usually fly back like early that morning that we had to be at work. Like, we'd fly back early Monday, right? Like at 6 a.m. so we could be at work on time. And I just remember hating that. I was like, this sucks. Why can't we stay? Why can't we just stay if we wanted to another week? I don't like this, right? And again, even though I was in abundance, right? I had a great job. I was making good money at the time, and had a new top-down Mercedes, this beautiful girl. I mean, most people would be happy with that, and I don't blame you, right? Even for me, I went further in life. At that point in my life, I was already further in life than I ever thought I'd go. Right? I never thought I'd have a 6-figure job, making 100K per year, well, 100K plus, and driving this new Mercedes-Benz and dating this beautiful girl. I totally surpassed what I ever wanted to do as a child. But then it got to the point where reality set in, and it still wasn't enough. And I knew that I felt like I was limiting myself. I felt like I was capable of more. My ego kind of got the best of me too, to where I was making my company so much money. I was an advertising consultant, right? So I felt like I was bringing them a lot of money. And even though they were paying me like a stipend on the accounts I would bring in, I didn't feel like it was enough. So my ego told me that I could start my own business and create my own advertising consulting agency. Seems pretty easy. And of course, I proceeded to do that, and I proceeded to lose everything that I saved in corporate America. But not to get too far ahead here, but there was something bugging me, feeling like I could do more, right? Even though I was already in abundance, I had the job I wanted, the girlfriend I wanted, I felt like I'm capable of more. Something started to eat away at me. Started to eat away at me enough to where I started plotting leaving my job. And I didn't tell anybody at that point, right? I didn't actually tell people until I did leave my job, but I started plotting leaving my job. And I just remember everybody thinking I was completely crazy. I mean, and rightfully so. They're like, that's such a great job, and oh, you shouldn't even be there. You shouldn't even have that. Like I wasn't worthy of it. Like, oh, you're just lucky to even be there, you know, and you're lucky you're not sweeping floors, you know, and all this. And I mean, I understood that, right? I'm like, yeah, I did go pretty far, and I did kind of knock it out of the park when I got that job. However, I still felt like I could do more, and I believed in myself enough to take that risk and risk the abundance I had already acquired, right? I had already acquired this abundance to move on to something better, right? To move on to something better. And I remember at the time my girlfriend said she was against that, right? She was against me leaving my corporate job. And also, not only that, but she did say that if you move to Los Angeles, I'm not coming with you, right? So I knew I was gonna basically put everything on the table and potentially lose everything, right? No matter what happened. And I didn't care. I just felt like there was more out there that I could do. There was more, right? There was more I was capable of. So to make a long story short, I left my corporate job and I started my own business. I proceeded to lose everything. You guys know this story. Lost everything and got down to literally my last 500 bucks. I racked up a few $100,000 in credit card debt too, because I was living off my credit cards at this point. Thank you, Amex. Really appreciate you giving me those secret loans on my credit card. I'm kidding, they didn't know what I was doing. But I was taking out Amex cards because they were the only ones who would approve me at that point. And got down to my last 500 bucks and then turned the corner, right? I turned the corner and the business became insanely successful, right? It became insanely successful. It wasn't my advertising consulting business that took off or the dozen other business failures that took off. It ended up being my pickup and dating business, and it was a valuable lesson that I learned that I teach business students today, like other entrepreneurs. I mean, as you guys know, I run a 1,500 member entrepreneurs group in Los Angeles. Very, very, very high-end guys in that, high-value guys in that, in my group. Some guys are doing $1 million per month. I kid you not. Some of these guys in my group do $1 million per month. Other guys, they'll do like 100K per month, pretty much like I do. And then other guys are just completely not doing anything with it, right? So we have like a lot of high value guys and we have a lot of newbies in that group too. Either way, it taught me a valuable lesson to where I teach people in my group, especially the newbies who want to start their own business and want to free themselves from their 9-to-5. I always tell them, go where your talents are. Go where you can compete with the best in the world and build a brand around that, right? And build something unique that not everybody else is doing, right? And I mean, I kind of found the perfect storm with that, with pickup and dating. That's where I started, right? Because I'd been in the pickup community since the 90s. I was one of the first ones out there, and I'm still out there, right? I'm one of the last ones from the old school pickup artists with like Mystery and Alt Fast Seduction and all those old sites, I'm still around. I still coach, I still teach. And actually, I think Mystery is still teaching too. But either way, built this successful business, and it became wildly successful. And then I went from abundance with my corporate job to scarcity to losing everything to deep abundance with this business, where it's allowed me in just an insane amount of options, an insane amount of freedom that the normal man could not possibly understand. And this is why whenever I do coaching videos on my channel and I'm traveling, I'm like always somewhere, right? I'm rarely at home. People are always like, even haters like, oh, how come you're never home? Why don't you just stay home? It's like, dude, I don't have to. This is exactly why I built this business. So I don't have to stay home. I could stay wherever I want for as long as I want. And that was the biggest pet peeve that I had about having a job was I had to be somewhere at a specific time, at a specific date, Monday through Friday. I just didn't like that. I felt like kind of imprisoned. Even though it was a great job, I felt imprisoned, and I didn't like that feeling. And it's gotten to the point where even now I don't do a whole lot of business coaching anymore. I used to do a whole lot more before, but I really don't anymore. I just work on my own businesses. I like to do my own thing. I like my own freedom. I mean, I have companies willing to pay me as much as $25K to do some consulting for them, you know, for like a week. And it's really, most times it's just not worth it to me. I'm just kind of like doing my own thing, believe it or not. I have other businesses now that I've acquired that are just pure cash flowing, and I look to acquire more of them, right? I have an eye for spotting businesses that produce monthly cash flow, that have a good solid product behind it, that already have a customer base that's happy, and then we just continue to provide that value that the original entrepreneur created for that business. So now I'm in a point where I don't even need to teach pickup and dating anymore. I can retire. You know, this is why I laugh when I see guys going, oh, pickup scam, scam is trying to make money selling pickup. And it's like, I don't even have to do this anymore. I don't even have to do YouTube anymore. I don't have to do jack shit. I could lay on a beach and do nothing, right? Literally, I could do nothing. And but I choose to work. I love to work. But the whole point is, I went from abundance to deep abundance, and I recognized, looking back, I recognized the difference. I was in abundance back in the day when I had my corporate job, but now I'm in deep abundance, and you will experience the same when you do the same, right? It's kind of like when I had my girlfriend back then. I was really phenomenal at pickup, right? My whole goal with pickup that I was using it for personally, because I've always been talented at cold approaching girls, right? I've never had any fear with doing that. My whole goal with cold approaching was always to just get a bomb-ass girlfriend, right? I always want a bomb-ass girlfriend. I don't need to date the world. I just want a bomb-ass girlfriend, right? And I was able to do that, right? I had a bomb-ass girlfriend back in the day when I had my corporate job. Then what happened was, after we broke up, and after I started building my business, and I started going into deep abundance, for the first time in my life, I said, I don't want a girlfriend. I want to really explore this. I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to see how far I could push the boundaries of social interaction, and how many girls I could just, have like spinning plates, right? I just want to see how many girls I could get in my rotation. And there was a period there where I really push the limits, and even to this day I'm still pushing the limits, right? And it's insane, like how the vortex opens up in your mind, right? When you reach a level of abundance most people on this planet will never reach, because they're programmed, right? They're just programmed, and they're kind of like living in this very, very complacent, somewhat boring, tedious, repetitive daily routine, that this would not make sense to them, right? Like driving around shooting coaching videos in a DeLorean would not make sense for them, while people on the street are like, woohoo, it just wouldn't make sense. But in any case, so I went into deep abundance, and I will tell you, all abundance is, at the end of the day, is having options, okay? That's all abundance is, guys, is having options. The more abundance you have, the more options you have, period. Whether it's with dating, whether it's with your, financial status, you just have more options. Now, when I take vacations, right? When I take vacations and I want to go somewhere, like you guys see me I was going to Vegas a lot during the pandemic, right? I was escaping the lockdowns. When I was going to Vegas, unlike back in the day where I would only go for two to 3 days because I'd have to get back because I have work. Now I was going for like weeks. I remember I rented out my, didn't rent, but I stayed at my hotel. I booked my hotel for over a month, right? It was over a 30-day stay, and the manager had to contact me and approve it. And I just said, I'm an internet entrepreneur. I work for my laptop, and I just don't want to be in California right now during the lockdown. And he just needed to approve it. Otherwise, they were going to have to take this hefty deposit out of my credit card, because usually it looks suspicious if you want to stay in the hotel for that long, right? And I said, no, there's nothing nefarious here. I just don't really want to be in California right now. And he was like, okay, that's fine. Just want to know. And those are the options you gain, though, right? You gain those options when you reach deep abundance, right? It's just like dating women. Back in the day, I had that one girlfriend, whereas fast forward a few years later, once I decided that I'm just going to really test the boundaries of pickup and game, I went into deep abundance. And literally, at one point, I had like a 12-girl dating rotation. I kid you not. People bag on me about my 6-girl dating rotation right now. I had like a 12, it was almost 13 even. 13, like 12, 13 girl dating rotation back then. And I just realized at that point, it's impossible to date that many girls and see them consistently and still have time to eat and shower and brush your teeth. It did get to the point where I didn't even have time to brush my teeth. I got to the point where there would be like a 5 to 6 day period where I didn't even shower, as gross as that sounds. Couldn't even shower. I just didn't have time. I was dating too many girls. I was just too busy, right? I was just too busy. And that was a point where I realized, like, okay, there needs to be some balance here, right? I love the deep abundance mindset and everything up, but there needs to be some balance. So I started scaling back a bit, and I was like, okay, even 6 girls is way too many, right? 6 girls is way too many. But just exploring the difference between abundance versus deep abundance was a real eye-opener, right? And whenever I hear other dating coaches talk about abundance, right, they're usually just talking about that just base level abundance, right? Just get enough money where you could pay your bills and then have some left over. You could buy yourself a nice car, pay off, maybe pay off your mortgage, have a house to live in. You don't have to worry about going poor. But that's pretty much your level of abundance. Maybe have a couple of girls you're dating in your rotation, maybe 2 or 3, but that's pretty much it. Whereas what I did, and sometimes what I trained my advanced students to do, is to go into deep abundance, right? To really, really push the boundaries of what you ever thought you were capable of, and push the boundaries of societal norms and what you're expected to do as a human being in society versus what you actually can do, right? Does that make sense? So there is a difference between abundance versus deep abundance, but you won't really see it until you reach that level of deep abundance. And then you'll realize, like, okay, it's a little scary, right? It is a little scary. Deep abundance is a little scary. I mean, even just me, like, having these girls in my dating rotation, I look back, I'm like, wow, back in my blue pill days, I would have just thought that not a single girl on the planet would ever put up with the fact that you're dating other women besides her. Not a single girl on the planet, I would never have thought that. Same thing with staying in Vegas for a month. I would never have thought that. Back in the day when I went to Vegas, I mean, the longest I stayed in Vegas before I had my pickup and dating business was 3 days, right? And it always like used to annoy me that I had to leave Vegas after 3 days, because you can't see all of Vegas in 3 days. Whereas now, like, especially during the pandemic, I was staying for a month at a time, right? A whole month. And people thought I had moved out there. I'm like, no, dude, I'm living at the Venetian. Basically, I'm living in my hotel. I did not move to Las Vegas yet. I stress yet. But it was pretty scary, especially during the pandemic, because Vegas was totally dead, and most people were either at home or at work or locked in their tiny apartments. And I was here in Vegas. I was like gambling with my girl. We're eating in all the best restaurants because they're all open, nobody in sight, and it was just kind of like an ominous experience. It was like Night at a Comet. You Gen Z fans, there's a movie called Night at a Comet, 1986, with a couple of cute chicks who were like stuck on the planet and all the people had disappeared, right? But it kind of felt like that. Anyway, that is the difference between abundance versus deep abundance. And at the end of the day, like I said, all abundance is, guys, all it is having options, okay? Having options. You have those options, you know, whereas like, say you go on vacation, everybody's packing up on Sunday. That was a funny thing too in Vegas. Like every Sunday, like everybody, you would see just the strip clear, right? Because even now you see the strip clear Sunday night because everybody has to go home to get back to their job on Monday, right? Whereas me and my girl, we stay. We're just there. We don't have to leave. We can leave whenever we feel like it. We don't have to leave at all if we don't want to, right? And that's just one of those options of deep abundance, right? When you're completely free, you're on your own pirate ship, right? You're on your own pirate ship. That's what I mean by deep abundance. And I've always talked about, like, if YouTube throws me off one day, so what, right? I mean, I have other businesses going on right now. I don't need them to survive anymore. Make sense? You know, it's like I don't need my job, my corporate career, my corporate job, my old boss. I don't need any of them. I really don't need anything from anyone. I'm my own man. You know, that's when you reach that level of deep abundance where you need nothing from nobody. You're 100%, and I'm not kidding, 100% self-reliant. You need nobody for anything. You don't need anybody for anything. Okay. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up here. Until next time, this is Matt Cross from Alpha Male Secrets. Don't forget to smash that like button below. Go ahead and smash it right now. Also, hit that notification bell right next to it so that you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on YouTube. More importantly, guys, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Helps me out a ton when you subscribe. Okay? Tells YouTube you love my coaching videos, you want me to produce more of them. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel as well. And for all of you guys who want to support my work and all of this red pill, gold pill, and platinum pill content that I'm teaching you even further, the best way to do that is by becoming a premium subscriber of my premium Alpha Male Secrets program, which I'm hosting on a private platform. And the reason I'm doing that is to protect my premium content from YouTube in the event they try to ever shut us down one day. All of my premium Alpha Male Secrets coaching lessons will still be available on our private secure server. So this is the absolute best way to support my work, guys, is becoming a premium subscriber of my premium Alpha Male Secrets channel. And right now it's only $1 for the entire first month of premium Alpha Male coaching lessons from me. So take advantage of it, and all you need to do is click that link below in my description box. It will take you over to my website where you can get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds. So do that now, and I will see you in my next coaching video. As we sign out from the DeLorean, I'm gonna shoot down to Newport Beach right now and pick up my girl. We're supposed to go to dinner, so I'm gonna go do that right now. And until next time.